Welcome to another episode of Talking Nerdy in the Bedroom with
Corey,
KJ,
and Mike.
So, I don't think we've mentioned it. It's our 11th episode, and even though it's our social media, we're also TN in the B, which sounds dirty, but it's not supposed to be. It's Talking Nerdy in the Bedroom.
Oh, it is. It's dirty.
I mean, you're not wrong. So today we're going to be talking about Stranger Things. It's our second episode talking about Stranger Things, which is going to cover the last two episodes of season 4, which ran for what? 3 hours, 45 minutes between both episodes, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yep. So the first episode that we got back, which was the penultimate episode of this season, was like an hour and 15 or so, and I thought it did a very good job setting up the season finale of the show. And then I thought the season finale did a really good job of being an actual season finale while setting up the final season of this show. There were some things I loved, other things I just liked, and other things I was a little bit disappointed by. I feel like they should have pulled the trigger on a few more surprises or deaths. But overall, I was very happy, and I think this has become my favorite season of Stranger Things.
Yeah, mine too, for sure.
So it's beaten out season 1 for you?
Yep. I mean, you always got to give a little credit to the first because it...
Get you hooked.
Yeah.
And what about you, Mike? Did you feel this season was better than all the others?
Oh, damn, for sure.
Yeah.
It's always the music that gets me. I mean, I even downloaded like the Journey version from Stranger Things, that song, and the other one,
Kate Bush running up the hill.
I love that song.
Love that
so
music.
Good. I just heard like a hard rock version of it. I sent it to you, KJ.
Yeah.
But it's really good. I'll have to send it to you too.
So she has
also
made like
Eddie's
2.5.
metal riff.
Yes.
Really
Which
good.
is Master of Puppets, right?
It's Metallica, yeah.
Well, yeah, Master of
And
Puppets.
Metallica just released today a like duet version of them and Eddie from the actual episode doing a duet with all of Metallica, and Eddie doing his thing on TikTok. That is like blown up everywhere because it's like their tribute to Eddie. Because obviously, spoilers, Eddie dies in the end.
What? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I haven't seen that duet yet, but I did hear that Metallica was like stoked that they used their song.
Yep.
And they loved Eddie. They loved the show, but they loved Eddie's character too. Eddie's character is like super popular.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks that he died when I feel like there are other people who could have died.
See,
more fittingly.
he should have died, period, because of how well they set him up, in my mind. The only way to have an impact for a character's death is to make them that likable and that fan favorite that you're gonna be like, when they die, it's gonna have this emotional impact. Plus, they got to basically have his character do a 180 from running away. Did it in a right way. And
he died a hero.
We did die a hero.
Yeah. Well, like I think like you just said, him dying makes sense for his story arc and everything, but it just like look at Sadie Sink's character,
Max,
yeah, she should have died twice this season.
Yeah,
she did technically.
Well, she's brain dead, but they're probably gonna bring her back, I would guess, or she's gonna get like possessed.
Well, she's not
by
brain
Vecna.
dead. She's like in a coma. If she's brain dead, then
she's kind of brain dead. When 11 holds her hand and goes into her consciousness or her mind, there's nothing there. That's why she's just.
It'd be the same as
alone
if
in
she
the
went
pool.
into Corey's mind, though.
Well, that doesn't take much, though. I think we all know that. There ain't nothing there. The lights are
Empty
on.
space.
What are we talking
Nobody's
about?
home. What? But
I just
this,
assumed her consciousness was stuck in
that could be where they
the
go
upside
with
down.
it. Yeah, it definitely could be where they go with it. It did appear like she was dead, obviously, because that's what started all the portals like opening up bigger, and then obviously 11 brought her back somehow, which I didn't really like. And then when 11 touches her while she's in the hospital, there's just nobody in her consciousness. Is her consciousness stuck? Is she brain dead? We find out obviously in season 5.
But I guess my only point was like they had multiple times for her to die in a great fashion. They didn't do it. So with Eddie, I was almost
Well, they needed
expecting...
her for the finale, though.
Well, she could have died in the finale, like officially died.
She could have
Right,
finally
but-
died, like, and then it would have
It might be another reason for them to go to the Upside Down, though. They might have to, like...
They're not going to the Upside Down in the next season, at least according to the Duffer Brothers. Everything's
It
going
sounds
to
like
take
the
place
Upside
in
Down
Hawkins.
came to Hawkins. So,
Yeah.
like, at the
Well,
last
then
scene,
they need to find her being somehow.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll tie in. It's another part of the cliff to hang.
The cliff to hang?
Yeah.
You mean cliffhanger?
Right. Another
Cliff.
part of the cliff. There's a ton of cliffhanger at the end of the
Yeah, you're definitely right. And Will's going to be a big part of the next season.
cliffhanger.
See, I think
Telling you, it
Will
was huge.
is.
You think what?
I think Will is not like Will. Like I think ever since we've seen him come back, he's not been. Because
He's gay now.
There was a
I think he
interview
was
they were
gay
doing,
before.
and
Apparently.
there was an interview they were doing, and I think it was the guy who plays Steve said they asked him what the theme of like Stranger Things next season is going to be, and he said traitors, and like that's all he said. But
Oh, I didn't see that, but it would make sense. Like both him and Vecna drew the mind flare.
yeah,
And then obviously he was the first one that got brought there after Vecna got brought to the Upside Down. That lasted for quite a long time.
And he's not dead, right? Vecna's still alive.
No, Vecna
he like crawled
still,
off.
Yeah, Vecna's still alive.
I really think like Will was like corrupted in the Upside Down and was sent back as like a
That's
sleeper agent or something.
okay. I was gonna say because he's done nothing to show that he's anything, but a sleeper agent could easily make sense.
And he has an existing connection to the Upside Down, which
And at the
doesn't
end,
make a
he
ton
can
of sense.
feel it though. Like when the split happens, he like feels the rift.
Yeah. Well, he also feels
So
when then he
maybe
turns around and you see basically the fact that the Upside Down has come to Hawkins.
he
at the
could
very
still
end.
be a conduit though. The mind flayer could get into him.
Yeah.
Well, and because the show has such a premise of like spies and stuff too, like Russian spies and all that stuff, the idea of a sleeper agent is kind of fits in that area. So
Sure.
I could
And
definitely see it.
It would come full circle too because they like the whole point of them finding out about the Upside Down was to rescue Will, and at the end they might have to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, people are definitely gonna die at the end of the season. Who eventually dies, I don't know. I know they. Well, I know they also went on.
Is that
record,
a theme that Stranger Things does? Kill
Not
people
really. They haven't killed that many people compared to how many people
No one
they could or
important,
should kill.
anyway.
They also
Nobody important, just half the town.
Well, I know,
Well-
but like, what main characters really ever seem to die? Eddie this time, but again, he was a new main character.
Same
so
with
it's a little
Billy.
different.
He was
Yeah.
a new main character who died.
They introduce a character every season to be like sacrificed. Like
Oh yeah,
killed
he's,
or
yeah,
something.
there's definitely a sacrificial lamb character every season.
You know, it's funny though. Like Mike could not you, Mike in the show,
Ah.
but Mike could die. Like,
Yeah.
how much impact did he have on this season?
On this season, not a whole lot.
I know he
Yeah.
was almost basically like a not important character this season. I think Will was more important than him. For
He
God's
was,
sakes.
but I also think that you got to see a lot of Will's growth.
Yeah.
As a human, as a
Human.
human, you get to see his growth in the episode through the whole season, and I think that was more important to them because he's going to play a big part in season 5. I think that's what they were trying to get across more than Mike's story.
Well, it's just interesting because like Lucas's story pretty well developed. You had
well, it got more developed this season too.
Well, I think that's what he was saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody, all of the original kids had a lot of like character growth and stuff this season, and then Mike didn't.
Well, Mike's has a lot of character growth over like the beginning of.
Yeah, I agree. The first,
So like there's only so much room.
well, sure, but like he wasn't really even involved. Like I'm trying to honestly think of a lot of scenes where he had a big impact.
Well, it's the same way as
him
as
being
the brother,
11 in the tub. That's the only thing that really.
Sure,
the
yeah.
older brother.
He had some character development just dealing with his own stuff with Will,
Yeah,
and then being that big brother that.
but not
he
as
can
much
come
as
to.
like the previous seasons.
That I agree with,
Right.
and I think that was one of their points is that they were literally separating everybody. So you had Winona Ryder, you had Hopper, you had I don't remember Yuri. Is that his name? Yuri.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you had Yuri all doing
I
their
love
own
that
story.
character.
Yuri.
Yeah,
And Murray. They're
Murray,
all doing
Murray,
their-
that's what
yeah,
it is.
Murray. Yeah.
they're all
Love
doing
that
their
character.
own story, and then you've got 11 basically doing her own story for most of the season, and then she ends up joining up with Will, with Mike, with the older brother, with the stoner pizza guy. They have their story, and then you have the Hawkins story, which I felt was the most interesting part. But I felt like that's what they were doing because this next season everybody's going to be together. So they were showing that everybody had a part to play, so that when it comes to this next season, especially if Traitors is the theme, that would make sense because now they're all together, and then there's going to be a traitor.
Yeah.
or traders.
So the other thing I thought was interesting is I saw this fan theory based on the posters that came out. So a lot of the Netflix posters had a picture of a house behind the character, and so like all the people who were out in California, like Eleven and Will and the brother and stuff, their posters had the the house they were in and out there. And then some of the characters who were involved with the Vecna storyline had Vecna's house behind, and Mike's mom has that as well, where the other characters from like the town don't have that. So everybody's like, Mike's mom is the sister, and she didn't actually die. It's like the theory that's going around. It's like a fan theory, but I don't even know if it makes sense.
No,
Or...
I would hate that.
I would too, but I just was like, everybody's always trying to look for little things like that.
Well, I
I
was
think
surprised
the age gap is too big.
Is it though?
for her and she's probably in her late 30s, early 40s. And how old's Vecna at this point, or how old is he supposed to be?
30?
So I read something
Yeah.
about that too, because Vecna is another theory, which I thought makes more sense, is that Vecna is Eleven's dad.
No, that's terrible.
Well, no, I mean, think about it. So he was the first case study, right? And then they started having other kids, but they were finding they weren't as powerful because they were using the drug on pregnant mothers, basically. And so the theory was that Eleven's mother was given the drug, like all the other mothers were before they got pregnant, but that they had her reproduce with one's or Vecna's DNA so that it would be an even stronger person, which is why Eleven's the strongest. And then there's scenes where Vecna's saying, "You remind me so much of me," and all this stuff when during the flashback scenes in the lab.
I would hate that too. I would hate that with all of my heart.
It is the theory that I think, like, I looking through everything, has the most support for it.
I mean, there's no actual support. People just pull from things and go, "Look, this makes sense for my criteria."
Well, my point is that it has the most dots you can connect to make it make sense.
I was surprised though, Mike. Your theory last time about the counselor, it meant nothing. I guess
Yeah.
it wasn't a grandfather clock, unless there's something more in season 5.
So I there was a scene, they're in like the car and she's like, "Oh, we need to go check out
back.
the counselor."
Yeah.
I was like, here it is.
Yeah,
and then they're like, "Oh, we don't have time for that." I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. I was like, Mike is gonna be right. Oh nope, we cut that for time. All right.
Cut it for time.
So with this show,
It might be in season 5 though.
It could be.
I still think I think she's 100% involved somehow.
I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, everybody she counseled is, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. And then I didn't notice the necklace thing, but that just kind of reaffirmed that she seems suspicious.
That it could be someone they go back to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I would have thought they would have done it within these last 2 episodes, but there was a lot to do.
Same.
The Duffer Brothers said this next season won't be as long. So it sounds like it might be 8 episodes again rather than 9. It also sounds like they're going to be on.
Are they going to split it up this time too?
I don't think so. It sounds like they're going to be shorter episodes, like more towards the 45 minutes to an hour, not an hour 15 or longer. What they said during the interview is that they had so much stuff to try to get to the point where the upside down basically comes to Hawkins. Is that they?
So do we call
they
it the
had
right
so
side
much-
up now?
I guess. I mean, we're just gonna call it Hawkins. They had so much stuff to get through to get to that moment. That's why all of these episodes were so long, and there was more of them than usual. They had so much stuff they wanted to compact into this season, and it was phenomenal. And one of the reasons why they released the first episodes out and then the other 2 not is they wanted to try to get the content out sooner to people, because we've been waiting 2 years or so for this last season. We're going to be waiting another 2 years for the next season, which is the final one. So they were trying to give the content out, and then they were still editing the last 2 episodes, which I think you mentioned in the last podcast, Corey, about Stranger Things, just to get to the point where they could just give out the content. And I actually thought, even though I hated waiting, it was a brilliant strategy, because the show blew up, so I can't even imagine the numbers for the final 2 episodes.
It broke Netflix.
Yes, I do know that. It broke Netflix at exactly like midnight our time, or excuse me, 3 a.m. our time,
Yeah, 3
midnight
a.m.
over there. It shut down
fried
Netflix.
the Netflix servers.
Everybody was like, let's go, it's midnight, play, and yeah, just shut it down. There's not many shows that do that for Netflix. I know Game of Thrones did that for HBO. what was HBO Max before it was HBO Max?
HBO Go.
There it was. HBO Go was what it used to be called. And yeah, Game of Thrones used to shut that down a few times, usually the season premiere and season finale. But yeah, Netflix going down is a big deal just because of how many servers.
I was going to say that.
have.
How much traffic does it take to knock out a Netflix server?
Well, a normal server, like, there's probably a certain amount where it's, like, normal that it happens, but Netflix has so many and backups. Everybody really wanted to watch the show. That's why I said it was brilliant that they actually split it up. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but it doesn't sound like they did it just to get the content out to the people, and while they were still editing the last 2 episodes, but it was brilliant. A great choice to do marketing. Now, if the season sucked, it would have been an awful choice.
Yeah, right.
But the season was top tier, best one they've done. One of the best shows Netflix has done. It's like, I think it's number 1 or 2 for me. You think of any other Netflix shows that are...
I'm trying to think back right now. I mean, Arrested Development was brought to Netflix. A lot of shows are brought to Netflix that I like a lot, so that's kind of what I
still wouldn't even hold that up against Stranger Things, though. If season 1 was on there...
Well, they're just different shows.
Correct.
So,
but I'd rather watch Stranger Things than Arrested Development.
I would rather rewatch Arrested Development than Stranger Things.
I feel like,
but I will say I was
Stranger
more
Things.
excited for Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike? Any show on Netflix that you think actually tops Stranger Things?
I don't think so. That's what I'm trying to figure out if there's...
I can't
the
think
only
of
like, I love
Netflix
House of
original that I
Cards.
can even think of. I mean, I know there's a bunch of them. But...
Yeah, House of Cards I loved. Umbrella Academy I love. There's a few others that were out there that got canceled after 1 or 2 seasons. But Stranger Things is like the big one that's out there. The Witcher is great.
Witcher, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I know
still
you like
think
Ozark too.
Ozark is phenomenal, but I still think Ozark had this thriller component to it with this drama that I was really enticed with, of wondering what's going to happen in the next episode. Stranger Things, I want to know everything. Like, I am trying to digest everything that happened, and I want more. Ozark, I just want to know what's going to happen with this character or this character. Stranger Things, it's their whole world.
I mean, Witcher is also on Netflix.
We already said that. I'm glad that you're on your phone paying attention.
I was looking up what's original to Netflix.
I understand. You can also
I
be
really
listening
like
too.
Witcher too.
Witcher's good. That song in the first season, not so much the second, but Toss a Coin to Your Witcher, got stuck in my head for months after that.
Second season was so much better, though, just because it made more sense.
Because of the linear... Yeah. Oh, I hated the time jumps in the first season. Yeah. It annoyed me to no end.
I feel like they had a big fan outcry about that, too.
They did. Somebody went on, I think it's YouTube, and they put everything in order that you can watch. And it's definitely better because you get to digest everything that's happening. But yeah, the second season's better because you don't have that aspect of it.
Right.
But yeah, Stranger Things is probably the one I was most excited for every season when it was going to debut. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to blow up to this level. Like, we talked about in the first podcast that, like, you guys heard the premise of it and you guys were kind of excited about it. I waited a little bit to hear some reactions to it before watching it. But did any of us think it would get to this level where it is now, where they can take a song from the what was running up this hill? 1980s?
Probably, yeah.
I think it was 1980s, and make it number 1 on the charts for weeks on end, making her like $12 million because of streaming, because of how many people have been listening to that song. And it wasn't even that popular back then. Like, it's more popular now than it ever was then.
I've never heard it before.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it before either.
Yeah, I had heard it.
And I love 80s music. I
Me
just
too.
never listened to that song.
Yes. And then...
I'm sure there's a ton of music that's out there, too. Like, indie 80s music.
Yeah. But it's also the fact of how they use that music. They're really good with picking the right songs for the right moments. And that whole episode, that's how they...
Well, they added like a synth wave kind of background to it, too, which is great.
It's really well done. It's a perfect episode for that, but it just blew up. And I'm just wondering if either one of you thought that it would ever get to this level, because you have other shows that Netflix have done that have gotten critical acclaim and that have gotten popular. Did you think Stranger Things would become a cultural phenomenon?
Yeah, I knew after I watched probably the first episode that it was definitely going to get a second season and it was going to be big, because people like us who were gonna relive the nostalgia of growing up in the 90s, 80s era, where like you could go to the arcade and you know, but your bike was like your best friend because you rode it everywhere.
Right.
I knew the nostalgia alone was gonna sell like pretty wide audience for that in our age range. I didn't know like you were gonna have as many people, older, younger, and whatnot, getting into it as much. So
Yeah, it definitely has spoken to almost every generation, which I wasn't expecting either. I would have bet money that our generation, as you said, would like this show.
Yeah.
How much would they like it? I don't know, but I bet money because of nostalgia and because it's nerdy with the D&D stuff, while also having some action, some horror, even a little bit of gore.
It's basically classic 80s horror film in a series mode, but just with
Done
better
right.
graphics and good acting.
Yeah, it feels like a B movie that turned into an A TV
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
With this show having only one more season, though, how are you feeling about that? Do you think there's enough time to wrap
They've
up everything?
already said that they're going to come out with like a
They're gonna
stranger
spin-off.
or a strangest thing.
Strangest
Is it a spin-off? I thought
It
they
is
said
gonna
it
be a
was going to
spin-off.
be something
It's going to have different characters.
completely different characters and
Yeah.
everything. Though.
Yeah, that's still a spin-off.
Is
It's
it still going to be dealing with the Upside Down even? That's what I didn't
I
know.
believe it's going to be dealing with some premise of that. I don't know if it'll be called the same thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's like if you take JAG and then they did the spin-off NCIS. You take Cheers, you did the spin-off of Frasier because you had that one
Yeah,
character.
I
It's
get-
going to be a spin-off in the sense of it's in the Stranger Things universe.
I guess I just was thinking it was going to be different enemy they're dealing with than things from the Upside Down is what I had thought they were doing. I thought it was a completely different thing, but they're just going to...
Maybe it's going to be
by
a
this-
Fantastic Beasts. They're going to go into
God.
the Upside
Yeah.
Down and capture all of the...
They're going to find
bat
an
creatures.
upside down deer and have it kneel before somebody, and that would be the king of the upside down.
They said that they're going to do more things in the Stranger Things universe, is what they said. So it sounds like whether that's the Upside Down, whether they create something new, they could absolutely do that. The reverse of the Upside Down and the right side up, the sideways one.
My thought would be that since they split their way into one dimension, I feel like they split their way into a completely separate dimension.
The
It's gonna be
downside up.
Well, I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think it's going to be like a shadow universe of a town, because that's really what the Upside Down is. It's literally just like the shadow version of Hawkins.
Yep.
I feel like it's going to be like something completely different.
So hang on real quick, because you say it's a shadow version of Hawkins, but is it? I think Vecna created that. Because if you remember when he first gets thrown through and then he's walking around, there's no Hawkins there. There's no nothing there where he gets thrown through.
He's also thrown through over by where the lab is. And
Is he? I thought he was thrown through in the lab where she escapes from, which is in Hawkins in season 1.
Well,
Yeah, it is,
It's
but
in
it's way
Hawkins,
out of town,
But it's
though.
it's out of town, surrounded by like trees and shit.
Yeah, they like in one of the seasons they have to like go down like a bicycle trail for quite a ways to get to the lab. It's not.
But
It's
weird.
remote.
It is weird because when Nancy's there, she finds her diary, and it's from like a certain period
It's
of
the
time.
exact day that Will goes missing, and it doesn't
Right.
go any further than that. So I'm
Well, that could have
wondering-
been part of like when Will goes missing. He imprinted that part of the town. So
well, that's
either
my
way,
point. I wanted more information on that of when exactly, like, is the Upside Down something that is just there as another dimension? Do the people themselves imprint, as you said?
I think it's more of like an imprint. Like I said, it's like a shadow version of
what
of
your
the town,
memories
right.
or whatever.
Well,
like a weird reflection.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's the people that like imprint or if it's every time they open one of those rifts.
Yeah, but there were other rifts open in season 2 and season 3.
But that's my point. So like in season 4, you see the one in the trailer, right? Nobody
Yes.
necessarily got sucked into through the rift. Chrissy died, but like
And then they go through it like 5 times.
I know, but before they go through it, even there's the other side of it, which has the trailer, because they don't go through there first. They get sucked through the in the lake, and then they come back through.
One of them gets sucked through. God, I can't remember his name. Who's our favorite in the show?
Eddie.
No,
No,
Eddie is up there.
Dustin?
Steve.
Harrington. Yeah.
And then everybody else jumps in after him.
Right, but
Yeah.
so they are in the Upside Down. They go to the trailer park because they think that's where they'll find a rift to get out.
Right.
And there is one already, but the trailer park's already established. It's set up just like it,
But it
was
also
for
could have been
Eddie's.
the exact same way 5 years before, or however long.
I
it
guess,
was
but
when
to
Will
me,
got
it seemed
taken.
like it was set up basically because that rift was
when
open
that
when
rift
Chrissy
was.
died. Yeah,
That's possible. I
so
wonder
it
if they'll
seems like every
explain
time they
that.
open a rift, they suck in a little bit.
But you see how we're
the
guessing?
universe.
I guess that was my original question. Was
Well, I
do
didn't
you
write
think
it,
there's
so I don't
enough?
know.
Do you think there's enough time to kind of explain all this stuff within this, or do you think they're just going to explain the main stuff about the main characters and maybe explore more in spin-offs?
I think there's enough time. I don't think that takes much. Like what I just said could be explained pretty quickly by like Vecna or
Right.
somebody.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think Vecna is gonna wrap it all up for season 5.
Or more likely, it will be God. Who's the kid who sang the song in
Dustin?
season 2? Dusty. Yeah. So it sounds like the kind of thing like he'll be like, I figured out this theory is true or something and tell everybody. Like that's
Right.
usually how they explain.
That's
stuff
how they
in
did
that
it in
show.
season 4. They did
Yeah.
it like twice with him, where he's
Yeah.
just rattling it off, and everybody just goes, "Ah, God, this kid was right."
And it's one of those things like when I hear him say something, I was like, well, that sounds like it could be right, but is there ever going to be a confirmation? There never is.
Well,
but
there
it's just
was
like,
about
well,
the-
Dusty said so.
He said one of them, and then he told I've already forgotten his name again. Our favorite, Steve. He told Steve about it, and then when Steve went to the Upside Down, he's like, "Oh God, he was actually right."
Right.
So they do have some confirmations, but sometimes it's not as explicit as this is exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
It also appeared to me in the season finale that Vecna is the one that took Will, not the Mind Flayer, because Vecna got infused with the Mind Flayer.
Oh yeah, I'm almost positive it was Vecna who took Will because I went back and watched the beginning of season 1, and when Will is taken, you see like a shadowy thing, and it looks just like Vecna.
Yeah, there's that stuff. Also, when his bike flips over, you kind of hear a clock.
Yeah, I heard that.
There's a
I
bunch of
didn't hear the
those
clock, though.
theories. It's a sound that people are saying it's a clock.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a clock, but it's something that they could claim is a clock.
I think it's much easier to just look at the shadowy figure and go, oh, it has the same like hands as Vecna has.
Well,
and
it's also
Demigorgons
look at
don't.
the
Also, the
Demigorgons.
Demigorgons.
Well, the Demigorgons.
No, he has like those
kill.
long like claw things.
The
going on.
Demigorgons kill. They haven't not killed anybody.
Yeah, that's true too.
And he just literally took him, just like all the other people, like Barbara or Barb.
Well, the
she
only
got
thing
taken
is
and
I
she
have
got stuck.
I have an issue with that because if Vecna did come through a rift to take Will,
Which rift?
well, no, why did he go back? And then why couldn't he just do it again?
Well, and why wasn't Will's arms all broken and legs broken
Well,
like
maybe because
everybody else?
maybe he wanted to make him a sleeper agent. But at the same time, if you can come through the rift, the whole premise of season 4 is I have to kill 4 people so I can open a rift so I can get to the other side. So if he came through and got Will, that I don't know. Unless it's like Will, like he was in Will's head, and that's what we're seeing. In that shadowy figure is what Will was perceiving to
Right,
be.
and we didn't know because we weren't seeing Will from the outside from
Yeah.
somebody else's
So we don't
perspective.
know that the Mind Flayer is not controlling Vecna
well
as well.
Correct.
Like he put his essence inside him. I mean, if
We've
you're
all
talking
done
about
that.
like
We've
he
all
put his
done
essence way inside him,
Yeah.
but he could have done. He probably tried to do the same thing with Will, and then Will got out, and then I mean we saw that
Well-
in season 2.
So that's the theory of Dusty's that I disagree with. Is Dusty said Vecna is like the Mind Flayer's lieutenant or general or whatever.
Well, I think they proved that wrong in the end. When it shows that Vecna's going up to basically the Mind Flayer and trying to like get his essence, and then he turns fully into Vecna.
Yeah. So I guess I missed that, but regardless, Vecna I'm pretty sure is like the boss of everything.
Yeah, I
don't
don't
think so.
think I don't think the Mind Flayer had any ability to be able to go into our world at all if it wasn't for Vecna having his psychic abilities that he had.
You also gotta wonder if the Mind Flayer even knows what the other world is. This random
Until
thing just
Vecna.
got yeeted into its.
Yeah.
Hey, this creature's here. He's gonna go inside it, and he's trying to figure out where you came from.
Plus,
Right.
I don't know why one wouldn't have been able to defeat the Mind Flayer, seeing as 11 did, and one is at
Defeat-ish.
least on par on her.
Defeat-ish.
I mean, she sent him packing.
And I also don't think that he was even trying to fight it. I think he was looking
That's what
for
I'm
more
saying.
power.
I'm saying, but it doesn't make sense that he would end up there and then bend the knee to this thing instead of like messing it up and be like, no, you serve me now because I'm number one.
Yeah,
Gosh.
it looked to me like he got infused with the power, and that's what made him Vecna, that then made him do all these other things.
Yeah.
That's at least how it looked to me. Now, season 5.
Well, the Mind
completely
Flayer
turned that on
maybe
its-
tried to get out through Will the first time, and then tried to get out in the other seasons, and then finally was like, all right, well, now that I've had time to figure out what he can do, I'll just use him to try to get out.
Yeah, anything is technically possible and on the table for season 5. It did look like they're setting up that Vecna was the big evil from the beginning. And it's probably a smarter move, because for me, Vecna is one of the best parts about season 4, is because there's an actual face to this villain. And it's an actual, you get to hear from him, hear him talk, and hear him stalk and try to take these people. There's an actual person that you're able to put your hatred to. Although I think most of us, I hated the jock more than Vecna.
Well, I just hated him.
Yeah.
Like, not so much like because he was a bad guy, just because he was lame. Like,
well, I also hated him just because he was a bad guy as well.
Yeah. No, I think you need a big bad who you can not necessarily relate to, but not necessarily who can sit there and explain his evil plan, but who you can kind of understand the motivations of.
Right.
And the Mind Flayer, like, okay, it's just a wild beast, wants to kill stuff. It's not that compelling.
Right. Well, that's a compelling thing for, like, the Demigorgons, because they're basically the soldiers you send out. Right.
Those
you
are
have
fine,
to have somebody
but you need somebody.
back,
You need a puppet master at the top of it all, and that's why I think Vecna would be perfect for that.
I think that's what they're setting up. I could have read into it wrong while I'm watching it, but that's what it looks like.
I still think that Vecna works for the Mind Flayer, and you'll probably get a explanation through Vecna of the Mind Flayer's plan.
Yep. Or we could also see Vecna die, and then the essence of the Mind Flayer go away. So technically it's still there, which would then lend itself to other spin-offs, because technically the Mind Flayer is still out there, potentially looking for somebody else to possess. Or
well, there's a lot of different essence of the Mind Flayer, because you have the one that was inside Will, you have the one that's inside Vecna, and you have the one that was in that tank in Russia, in the real world.
the one that was inside the tank.
Yeah, it was like moving around inside the tank.
That wasn't a Demigorgon. That was part of the Mind Flayer.
It was like smoke.
Oh,
It looked
Apparently I
like the
missed that.
essence of.
God, how the hell would they capture the essence of the Mind Flayer?
They had a big lab,
Yeah, they did have this. Yeah,
the Russian
it was
lab
the
that they were.
particles. The
Yeah.
But is
spores.
that the particles? Remember how they ripped
Well, it was
open the
moving around though. It was
No,
like
yeah,
well, they
it was
ripped
moving around.
open the Demigorgon, right?
Yeah.
Is that how they got the particles?
No.
You
I
don't
don't think so. Yeah.
Because you don't think the Demigorgons are infused with some of the
I would
Mind
assume
Flayer
that
stuff?
they got the particles from their experiments in Hawkins and that machine that they were using to slash their way into the upside down.
Maybe.
All right, so this is my wild theory that has no basis, and I don't actually believe.
We're
but
never actually getting a season 5. It's just
No,
gonna
no,
end
no,
right
no.
here.
Oh my god, that would
Will is going to be the big bad somehow.
Oh, I think that they've kind of set that up. Where that's when they say
Whether
he's gonna
it's
have
like
a big
really
part.
Will,
I don't
or
believe
just
it.
like Will has been the Mind Flayer, and like the Mind Flayer infected him forever ago, and Will's the bad guy.
I think he's at least gonna. If none of that's true and he hasn't been infected before and he's not a sleeper cell, he's gonna get infected now.
Yeah.
Just because I think they need to have that other evil presence, and I think Will make sense for it. They've been setting it up for 4 other
Well,
seasons.
he's been more and more alienated
Right.
in
He's
season
gonna
4.
go dark side.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense than I think any other thing they could give us. And he like had that moment where he broke down with Mike, and he still keeps feeling like alone and more there, which is why I thought his brother only had one good scene this entire time, which
We
was
finally
that
got to see the
scene with
painting,
his
though.
brother. We did get to see the painting.
It was pretty good.
It was a good painting. I was thinking about pausing it, but I was too in the moment because you had mentioned, Corey, on the last podcast, or maybe it was Mike, one of you mentioned about the fact that it's their D&D campaign, and if one of them was like a bard, one of them was
Yeah.
a healer, because in that painting, it kind of shows what all their characters are.
Yeah.
We should have, I guess, probably looked
Mike
at
is
that.
the leader, or
Yeah,
the heart.
The heart. Mike is the heart. So, yeah, it was a good painting. I thought it fit for what they were going for with his character and also all the other characters there. What did you guys have for issues with the last 2 episodes? Let's get into that. If you guys had any issues.
I don't love the way that it abruptly ended. Again, I know cliffhanger, so you have to watch season 5. But I feel like seeing Hawkins in just complete destruction and disarray.
It wasn't that much destruction. It showed like destruction was about to come.
Split the town right up the butthole.
Sure, you meant that. I thought you meant at the very end where you get to see basically the mind flare-ish coming, like the storm is coming at them.
Right.
It was a bit weird for me that it ripped open, then it got sealed back up, and then it opened up again somewhere else.
We think it opened back up.
I mean, we see it opened up somewhere else.
We don't see that it got opened up somewhere else. It just shows
we
you.
do.
I don't.
When do
know
we
if-
see that it got opened up somewhere else?
You see, so at first when
All 4 things open up.
yeah, and then you have like the big cross
Yep.
pretty much opened up in the middle of downtown.
Yep.
And then you see
When
them
they're
at
up
the
on top of
cabin,
the
and
hill.
then they walk up on top of that hill because Will sensed it, and they
Yeah.
look out, and there's a rift open up, and
Yeah.
all the smoke and shit's coming out of it.
Yeah.
See, what my thoughts is that those are the same areas that were open before, and the mind flare when it was first open came through, or Vecna came through. Whether they're now on Hawkins and they're opening it back up, I don't know, or if it's just them causing destruction in those rifts. I would assume
it didn't
that.
look like that to me. It looked like it was a completely separate rift opened up.
Yeah, I didn't.
Now
think there
maybe
was a separate
Vecna
rift.
or the Mind Flayer did come through when it was open for that brief moment, and they now can
Well, it was
open it up from this
It
side.
was a lot
but-
more than a moment.
Sure, but my point is that maybe they did come through, and now they can open rifts back to the Upside Down
And
at
bring
a
in
whim. Yeah, and that's what they did. But regardless, it looked like a different rift. It looked like you could see the ends of it, and they were both in the woods. So
I just had a wild theory thought.
Well, we had one of Corey's. What's yours?
One becomes redeemed at the end, and
Oh,
him and
God.
11 use their powers together to close the rift.
Oh, I'll hate it so much. If anything, it should be Will. It should be 11 and Will.
I think Will becomes the baddie,
I think so too, but it makes
and
more sense
he is
that
the
Will gets
conduit
redeemed.
to the Mind Flayer, and 11 convinces one that somehow he's redeemable and closes the rift. Because they're going to have to close the rift. That was my biggest question is okay, now that the Upside Down is in Hawkins, how are they going to deal with that? Because it took 11 all of her powers to close this tiny little slit in the laboratory. How are they going to close an entire town? You killed 4 people to open the rift. You got to make 4 babies to close it. How does this work?
You gotta make 4 babies on this exact spot.
Like, I
be
think
great.
they have to use the power of one, and so they have to redeem him.
Steve said he wanted 6 kids. I mean, that could bang out 4 right there on those 4 spots. It'll be fine.
You better get on it, Nancy. Get them birth and hips ready.
well, that would be a cool tie-in. So like if one finds out that he is 11's father, like if that was true, and that makes him change,
Okay,
like that
Star
makes him
Wars.
redeem himself. Well, I'm just saying.
11.
I-
I am your father.
I really hope that they don't go through that trope. I think it makes more sense for Will to go to the bad side, and then he gets redeemed and probably still dies in the end. I think that makes more sense. in
How are
what
they
they've
going to
been
close
setting
the
up.
rift, though?
That I don't know. Something will happen. I'm
I'm
guessing.
telling you, the
Duct
11
tape.
is going to have to team up with one and use their psychic power together to close their rift.
Yeah, I would hate that so much.
I guess.
I mean, the
he's
only
the one
thing
who
I can
set
think of
literally
is
everything up.
11 always seems to react to somebody getting hurt, and it makes her stronger or something. Like, oh, you hurt my friend, now I'm gonna be super mode.
Mike dies.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if Mike
And she
dies,
just-
that might
She just
give her
goes
the
Super
power.
Saiyan.
Yeah.
Do you think
Me.
do you think the rift is going to close before they kill Vecna / the Mind Flayer?
I think she goes Super Saiyan and kills the Mind Flayer, which releases one and closes the rift.
See, I'm in a different mindset.
I feel like I think that the Mind Flayer is the power of the Upside Down.
What if?
which is possible.
Ooh.
Ooh.
What if the Mind Flayer infected one at an early age? And so, like, he would always look like he was a little possessed and a little
Well, it showed,
weird kid.
So
again,
he's
that's
been
what
a
I
little
said. Like,
asshole.
him and Will are both, when Will gets back from the Upside Down, he draws that picture
Right.
of the Mind Flayer. Before everything happens with Vecna 1, he's drawing the
He's
picture.
obsessed with spiders and stuff, too,
Yes.
which is pretty much exactly what it is.
Well, no.
So maybe these
The
particles...
Mind Flayer took the form of a spider because
He liked it.
right, because he got into one's mind, and that was his
Friend?
well.
That's why I'm
that's
almost
that's
saying,
the
like,
that's what he says is like the peak
predator.
predator.
Yep.
So
I
the
think
Mind
that
Flayer
makes-
takes
But yeah, so that's
the
my
form
point.
of the
So,
spider.
like,
So if he would have already known that, he would have already been in the form of a spider, though.
not necessarily, because, like, let's say the Mind Flayer, whatever it is basically just that cloud of particles, right? Living in this other dark air, like, universe where nothing happens, and it reaches out as far as it can, touches the mind of one, or Vecna, I'm just going to call him Vecna, and then from there, like, infects Vecna over time, basically, and then Vecna becomes evil and stuff, and then when 11 pushes him into, shatters the universe and
Right,
pushes him
but
out, he
the-
falls into that land because that's where he's pulled to by his
The
connection
dimensions,
with
there was no
Mind
rip
Flayer.
between the two, though, until she gets pissed and smashes him through there, though.
Correct.
Sure,
But doesn't mean
but
he
the-
couldn't have reached out before. We just
How?
don't know. We don't know. We don't know the full extent of the Mind Flayer's powers.
Well, if the Mind Flayer could reach out through there without a tear, he would have done it.
I would assume so. Maybe he has. Maybe he has in other places besides Hawkins. We're not
Yeah.
told that. I think it's too much of an assumption. It makes more sense that once one got sent in there, the Mind Flayer, who's just been like a dormant
Yeah.
evil presence there.
You kind of get that idea when you see that scene of him like walking up to it, and it takes the form of the spider, and they kind of like flash back to him playing with the spider.
Yeah.
So
I'm still thinking for season 5 that they're going to shut the rift before they kill either the Mind Flayer or Vecna. And then the Mind Flayer or Vecna are either going to become weaker because now they have no more attachment to the Upside Down, or they just have no place to flee after, so they're going to die now. And it's probably going to be because, like, Mike dies. Mike dies, so then her powers go through the roof, and she's able to shut it herself.
What if
but then they still have to deal with the big bad.
they close the rift, and like the Mind Flayer just becomes like a very tiny little spider, and then somebody steps on it.
Oh, what is that? That's it, part 2?
yeah.
Where they just
Well, he
keep
doesn't become a
mocking
spider,
the
it
clown.
becomes like a deflated clown.
Yeah,
or
because they
something
keep
weird.
making fun of it. So it was such like, it's an ending that I understood, but it was also like a big letdown for the fact of how good that first It part was, where they're just mocking the clown and then it just deflates and dies.
I was gonna say it couldn't have been that much of a shock for you.
No, it wasn't a shock
Yeah.
at all, but how good was the first one? It's such a good villain, so creepy,
Yeah.
so everything, and then just that, it did that. I was hoping they were going to do more, and I know it's going off of the book, and I know everything else. I was just hoping for some more epic battle rather than just teasing a clown. And with this, I'm hoping for that same type of feel. Like, I thought we got a very good battle with Eleven and Vecna inside Max's head. I thought that was a pretty good battle. I thought Max did that scene fantastic when she's running away from Vecna.
Should have
Also, oh god, what's his name?
You really want that character dead?
I know.
The one-
I don't though. That's the thing. She's
It just
probably
would've
one of
been
the
better
best
for her
actresses
character.
on the show, and I love her character. But it would have been so much more meaningful if, like, she came up just short. Like, she was running, and like it was almost gonna work, but it was too late to save her. And then
But
the
she's like
kids-
the pivotal point of the final episode.
Well, so
she didn't
I
need to be.
I think she. Oh, see, I disagree with that. I think she did. I think
Yeah,
her
but-
whole story made sense. I just think she should have died in the last episode because she was
Who
like,
else would
"I'm
they
not
use
going
as
to
bait?"
put." I was just about to say that she didn't want to use anybody else's bait. It's going to be her. They come this close to getting her out in time with 11 getting into her mind, and it's just not enough.
It
And
just
I think
gets-
that helps set up the
it
next
gets
season.
old and a little frustrating when every time they just squeak by. Like
So
at
the-
some point they need to have a significant loss that occurs.
The Duffer
Otherwise, it
Brothers-
takes away all risk and all like.
Duffer Brothers has said they
Fuck you,
don't
I was
want to
talking.
be like Game of Thrones. They don't want to be like
that's
Game of
not
Thrones.
being like Game of Thrones.
But that's what they said. We're like, if we would have killed Mike, it would have been depressing. So we didn't want to do that.
But it's Game of Thrones just like kills everybody you love. I'm saying
if they would have
4
cast
seasons,
Sean
kill
Bean,
somebody important.
then we would have known.
Yeah. I'm going to laugh. Yeah, if they cast
Well, they
him.
killed Sean Astin. They killed Billy. They killed Eddie. But those were all characters that seemed to be introduced to die. Like, it wasn't a main character. Although that's a very 80s thing, too, as well. Like, if you go back to any series that lasted for a long time, it's usually the character that introduces for one season that you know they're going to be gone by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So usually that's where they die or something happens to them where you never see them again. And that's kind of what this is. Now, with this being the last season coming up, I think everything's on the table at this point. You know there's not another season. You're not bringing them back.
Problem is, if you kill multiple people this season who matter, then it's gonna like desensitize this season. So like if they kill
Not if
Max,
it's all in the same episode.
if they kill Max first and then Mike in another episode, I'm gonna be like, okay, well, I already saw Max die. So
what if it's in the same episode? Well, it's at the exact same
my
time.
point is, they should have done it this season to end the season. We lose somebody like Max,
We
and
lost
and
Eddie.
it was even more frustrating because we almost lost her once, and then they do the same thing again.
A little bit different, but yeah.
But that's just my point. Like, don't do a different character if you're gonna do another close call, but stop doing close calls on the same character and trying to convince us that we should actually be concerned if she lives or not.
Steve's gonna die to save Nancy.
He should. Or the other one should die, and then Steve and Nancy can be together.
So I think that's two.
2 on the nose.
Yeah, I think that Steve, like, she's gonna know that Steve is.
Should have been the one that she was with.
Yeah,
Although
because
she shouldn't have been.
he's gonna risk, or he's gonna die trying to save
Season
her. Or
1,
does save her.
she absolutely shouldn't have been with Steve, because that was the story that they built. And then they just redeemed this character over 3 more seasons, which has made him easily the best character in the show.
The weirdest transition for me was when I think it was season 3 when he's working at the ice cream shop.
Yep, that's season 3.
And Dusty shows up, and you've not really seen the development of their relationship, but they come out and they have like the handshake. They're all buddy buddy.
Yeah.
Like they took him in a completely different direction in that season. To
Well,
me.
I
like
think
they were
that-
building up to that. We just missed a big chunk of the
Season 2,
development
they
of that.
had some of that.
Yeah.
And then, but season 3, they dived hard.
They were like best friends
Yeah.
all of a sudden. I was like, okay, but I was fine with it. It's
Yeah.
actually really cool. I like their friendship. But
Yeah, and then you had I like the jealousy with him and Eddie too over Dustin.
I like that guy too. Who plays Steve. He's in Free Guy too.
Is he in Free Guy?
He's the 2 developers of the.
Oh yes,
game.
yeah.
He's
He's
the
he's
guy.
a main
Yeah.
character. Yeah,
Yeah.
duh. So with this being, like I said, we're going up on the last season. Is there how much of a hit do we think this is going to be for Netflix? Besides for how much money they spent on this show has brought them a lot of money, a lot of attention. How much do we think this is going to be a hit to them in general, knowing there's no more Stranger Things after? Now, there could be the spin-offs, but I mean, for the actual
I feel like
main
Netflix
series.
goes fucking ham on season 5, like with marketing.
Yeah,
with
but after
toys.
he's
Yeah, I'm
talking
saying
about.
after. How
Like
much
after
of
the
a
show
hit?
how
is
much of a
done.
hit are they going to take?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably it's going to be rough.
They
Yeah.
need to pick up the rights to a universe. Like they tried to do it with Frank Miller's universe, and they made the Jupiter's Legacy
So they're
superhero
still
show, which I
continuing.
liked. But
They're still continuing that, just in a different vein, away from that show. So, what about you, Corey? How much of a hit do you think Netflix for? I know you said that you think they should get another universe.
well, they need
They,
one.
they
is what
have
I'm
to,
saying.
yeah,
Right.
in order to stay afloat.
I mean, they had the Marvel TV shows that was helping them out. They obviously went pretty ham on that, but every time they release a new season of a new show, it gets canceled.
Yeah.
And some of them are actually really good. They just cancel them anyway.
Well, their mindset for the longest time has been more content of different varieties and different shows is better than season 2, season 3, season 4.
Yeah, they do a lot of kids stuff too. I know a lot of people just have Netflix because their kids watch Netflix
Coco
shows.
Melon.
Yeah,
Although I feel like Disney Plus is a better deal for your kids just because there's so many
It doesn't have the
No
Disney
way.
movies,
range of content.
Disney
Not
TV
even close.
shows.
It doesn't have like the learning programs. It has like the
Sure.
Disney, like Aladdin,
The
and stuff
entire
like
catalog of
that.
Disney.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's not like what you put on when you're trying to get your kids to learn to count and stuff.
Well, if you're trying to get your kids to learn to count, maybe you don't put on the TV.
Says the guy with no kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty
you're not
easy to
wrong.
parent when you're single.
Hey, you probably just shouldn't, the TV. How about we count?
Can your
we got
cat
fingers?
count to 10?
Yeah.
It's my
Slacking.
cat. Fuck this cat.
Can you count to 10?
No, I
Need
didn't.
me to
I
send
didn't
you
get
that
put in front
show?
of
I was
the
going to say,
TV.
it sounds like he needs to download some Netflix.
Somebody needs Coco Melon. Learning with JJ.
With Stranger Things, is there another show out there, maybe that's not on Netflix, that has you even remotely as excited as this show got you, especially for this season? So I think we all talked about how much we liked season 1. Season 2 was a bit of a letdown. Season 3 we went into with low expectation, and it exceeded that just because season 3 was pretty good. And then season 4 blew everything out of the water. Is there another show that's currently on TV that you guys are this excited for, or somewhere in the same vein?
So I'm just starting with like Netflix shows. I know you said not to isolate to that, but Umbrella Academy season 3 was really good. So I am really excited for season 4.
Yeah,
but
it was
having
better
said
than the
that, I did
first
not
two.
like season 2.
Yeah,
of
it was better than the first two. Season
haven't
3
seen
was.
Oh, it was so good. I really liked this.
Yeah.
My favorite season by far was this season of Umbrella Academy.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and I know like we all like The Witcher, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I
yeah.
liked Stranger Things more than The Witcher by a decent margin.
Yeah, I would say so. Although I really like season 2 of The Witcher.
Same.
Yeah, well, season 2 was very, very good.
I think it just depends. Like this season of Stranger Things, 100%. Last season and season 2, maybe even not better than Witcher season 2.
Season 3 and season 2 of Witcher for me are like neck and neck. And then season 4 blows everything
Oh
out of the
yeah.
water.
Season 4 blows it out. Yeah.
When did you guys end up watching it, by the way? I'll get back to you, Mike, to see if you have anything else on the
I
level.
think
But when did you
the-
guys end up watching?
The day it
Stranger
came
Things?
out.
Yeah, because it released on Friday. Like we recorded on Thursday.
I woke up,
then-
went to work, got home, watched Stranger Things.
So you weren't able, because I know we made the joke, but I didn't think you do it. Like, if you wake up at 3 a.m., granted, you probably couldn't have because it would have crashed.
Internet broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched it Friday, like as soon as I could.
Yeah, I
Well, no,
watched
was-
one episode in the theater room too, which is pretty cool.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Like I was at your house Friday, the day it came out.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I left there, I came home and just Stranger Things.
Yeah, I think I watched it that night. But
Yeah. I ran through both episodes. It was fantastic.
It's hard to do, though.
To sit through both episodes?
Jam 'em. Yeah, I got out at work at
Oh,
8.
yeah, you got out late. Yeah.
Got home and I was like, it's like 12:30. I had to work in the morning. It was miserable.
Worth it. So
It
for
was
you,
worth it.
what about for you, Mike? Because obviously, as you just said, you were up till like 12:30, 1 o'clock watching it because of how good it was.
Yeah.
Is there another show out there, and again, not just on Netflix, that has you in the same realm as Stranger Things for excited for the next season?
I mean, there's a lot of shows that I watch. I really liked Yellowstone. I'm excited when that next season comes out. I just binge watched the crap out of Strange New Worlds. Really liked that.
So there's and then there's I'm gonna stay up till midnight or later when I have to work the next day type of level. Are those two shows on that for
The
you?
Boys.
The Boys is really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Boys is good. Yeah,
Yep.
I was so happy
I literally
after.
stayed up because I think Mike sent the message, or you did.
I did. Literally, I got home from Thor. I went to watch something on Amazon Prime, and it
Yeah.
said The Boys, all episodes available. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not supposed to be available till tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I
clicked it,
did
and I
stay
was
up
like,
and
oh, yeah.
watch that.
Same.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
Like,
I
you watched it that
watched
night?
the series premiere of The Boys, then I watched the series premiere of series finale?
finale
Series finale of The Boys, then watch series finale of
season.
Strange New Worlds.
season.
Season
Not series.
finale.
Yeah, because there's going to be more of The Boys. They're already
Yeah.
set up season 4. I don't know about Strange New Worlds. I'm assuming they're going to have a season. What are they on? 2, 3, something like that?
The more I watch Star
Strange
Trek, the
New
more I
Worlds?
like it.
Yeah, isn't that just
They're on one.
right? So the next season will be 2.
Well,
Yeah.
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 The
The
more I
more-
watch Star Trek, the more I like it.
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten. I think I'm only on episode 4, but I liked it a lot. I just other stuff came out and I was watching that instead.
Yeah.
But
It's so different.
Is it? I guess the question I asked initially, is it on the same level for you as Stranger Things, like Strange New Worlds, Stranger Things?
I like sci-fi the most, but I really like the horror 80s nostalgia. So they're hard to compare with each other because Strange New Worlds are along the same lines of watching like Star Trek, Star Wars, any kind of like super sci-fi thing I really like watching. But Stranger Things is a genre all on its own. No one really
Yeah.
does anything it's come close to it. So it's one of those things like I really like it because it's so different than everything else,
Yep.
and it's also really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the fact that it's as
100%.
good as it is a testament to the Duffer Brothers, because they've written, I think every episode. It's what they've written and directed every episode.
Yeah.
Which is just a testament to what they're able to do. Even though I don't think any of us were a giant fan of season 2, but if you, out of 4 seasons, if you have one that's a meh, but it had a lot of character development for 11, and then season 4 you just go all out and do a phenomenal season that beats everything. And if they don't win, not that I put much stock in awards, but if they don't win some awards for this thing, especially the girl that plays Max, if she doesn't win something for her performance, I'd be very surprised, just
Yeah.
because of how good this season actually is. Besides for Max,
Yeah.
who had the best performance of the season? Was it Eddie?
Oh, well, that's hard. Yeah, probably Eddie.
Steve the Hare Harrington.
You think he had a better performance than
God,
Eddie?
he was good too.
He's
yeah.
good. He's
He is good. I'll give you that. And he had his whole character development season with his kind of flirting with Nancy, with taking care of those kids.
Dude, beating the bat down was cool. Grabbing it by the
Yeah.
tail, and he was like whacking it against the ground.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
that was,
you
that
get him
was a good
hair.
scene. Get him hair.
I know he's got the the Pantene hair, but then he can also like kick some ass.
Yep. Which is one of the reasons why I loved Eddie's ending, which I think we talked about in the last podcast too, that he should have, if he's going to redeem himself, he has to sacrifice himself. And he did, to give them more time to continue their plan.
I thought Lucas was good too, and maybe not
That's
like
his name. I was trying to
maybe
think of
not
his
like
name.
the best or even in the running for the best, but he was the best I've seen him in a season to date.
So apparently the line where he yells for Erica, his little sister, for help was improvised, not in the script, where he's cradling Max. And then the scene where Vecna is portraying him inside Max's mind was so well delivered, where he's like yelling at Max and why would you do that? How could you do that? So well delivered. It had me believing it for the first second before I was like, oh, it's Vecna.
Well, and then honestly, Vecna.
Oh, yeah.
That actor,
yeah.
like, I didn't realize how he got that voice. Like, I assumed they were doing a lot of manipulation. It was something like he'd let stuff drip back in his throat so it would get that kind of gurgling sound behind it, too. And it was just all him.
7 hours of makeup.
Yeah. I mean, you could give him a lot of credit just for that, but then
I
being
feel
able
like
to act
if they
in
did
that.
7 hours of makeup, they probably just did all the scenes all at once.
Yes and no. Like, so if you're talking about an entire season of a show, even if you did all of his episodes at once, you're still talking about like 2, 3, 4 weeks, if not longer. And that's 7 hours every time you get your call in.
Well, it's 2 or 3, 4 weeks per episode.
No, I'm saying just for all of his scenes are probably that long.
Nah, I doubt that. They probably could cut all of his scenes that he's actually in the Vecna suit in like a week.
They could
I
film a
don't
whole
believe it.
movie in 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
So.
Like a lot of it is going to be
These
him.
are 9
lot of-
movies.
A lot
I
of
know,
him
but
is
I'm
going to
saying
be
like that's in the entire film process of a movie.
right.
So I'm
he's going to
saying,
be doing
as
like
his
dry
scenes
lines,
aren't that many.
and then when he's actually in the suit and they're actually filming it, they're probably not filming that long. It takes him 7 hours to be in the suit. They probably aren't going to be like, okay, well, we're going to put you in the suit every day for the next 30 days.
I have read before though that people like who have to get that full like Drax in Guardians.
Batista.
The actors will choose not to like take it off at the end of the day when they know they have to film tomorrow, and they'll just be like, I'll just sleep in it so I don't have to go through that again.
There's no way he slept in all of that.
I don't know. It depends how comfortable it was.
There's a scene of him sitting at the dance.
Yeah.
That he's just sitting relaxing before like the next scene or the next shot, and it's just so funny to see Vecna like just sitting down, relaxing, comfy on a bench.
Yeah.
It
is
good.
weird that like it's because it's cheaper, but with that much makeup, you would almost think it wouldn't be just to do CGI, but
It looks so much better. This
Yeah,
way,
I was going to
though.
say,
yeah,
a lot of it.
I like physical effects.
It's screen
a lot
appeal.
more, so, yeah.
Oh, that screen appeal is phenomenal. Like, there's
I'm sure-
nothing in there.
I'm sure paying those makeup artists, each one for 7 hours, probably wasn't cheap either.
No,
No.
but it's definitely it's cheaper than CGI. Like I know that, but at the same time,
It
just
looks
like
better usually
how
too.
much? Yeah, but the actor must be just hate it.
Although for him though, that's his only role. Like he wasn't in season 1, 2, 3. Literally, he was sold on this role, told that this was going to
Oh,
happen,
right. Yeah.
and he was like, "Let's do it." And now he gets to be. He was the focal point of season 4. He's going to be a big part, if not the focal point of season 5.
I just read an article that was talking about how he was upset about Vecna's backstory and the way it was portrayed.
I liked his backstory.
I thought so too.
yeah, maybe they cut stuff.
I
Yeah,
think-
that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, true also, but again, like you had said before, like maybe he didn't like the fact that as a kid he looked like, I don't know, not I would say snooty, but like just weird.
He did look weird, but I think that he was supposed to be weird. He wasn't supposed to have friends. He wasn't supposed to do anything. Like he wasn't supposed to appear normal because he wasn't.
Right.
And then they took him off to the little lab. They did everything with him there.
Maybe that's why. Maybe he just wanted normal kids.
Yeah, it's
I didn't
possible.
like the backstory because I wasn't a normal kid.
It's possible. But yeah, I thought he did a really good job. You're definitely right, Corey, in that sense of that's what he was doing. Just did a great performance as Vecna. And again,
Jamie something. That's
it
that's the actor's
The
name.
actor, yeah.
It-
I know him from something else too. I just can't picture it.
it gave the villain a face rather than the Mind Flayer where it's just the smoke, and then rather than the Demigorgon, which doesn't have a brain, it's literally someone that you can potentially have the chance to empathize with, sympathize with, or just understand their reasoning rather than just destruction. And it helped. I think it's one of the main reasons season 4 works as well as it does, because you have that entity now that you'd never had before. My thoughts, anyway. So, now that we're done, how do you guys feel about 2 years until we get to the next season of it?
I'm used to it.
Well,
it just happens. all the
Season
time.
1 and season 2 was like the following year.
I know. It's just what I mean is like a lot of shows now seem to be like in that area where you have to wait like 2 years to see the next episode.
Right. It's not like the season ends. You wait
3 months.
a few months during the summertime, and then you have the season begin again.
And I
So
also
it's
was
like watching South Park.
when I heard that they were still
once a year.
editing.
That's what I'm saying. Like it starts, and
Yeah.
then you have the end, and then you have a couple months during the summertime, and then you have new season of South Park.
Well, I'm wondering too if it's because of the quality
Oh, for
of,
sure.
of a lot of these shows. Like a lot of the shows when we were growing up as kids, there was a lot of quantity because every season had 20 something episodes.
Right.
And now you're getting these 7, 8, 9, 10 episode blocks with no filler. It is just usually banged out quality that's top tier, like The Mandalorian, other things that make us wait a year, year and a half for the next season. But 2 years is a long time to get to the culmination of this story. Even if you're used to it, 2024 is a long ways away.
I'll tell you what though, it's a great time to be like a nerdy person who likes this stuff because there's just so much stuff coming out. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's a time during a year where I don't have something like, oh, this comes out next week or this comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I haven't even caught up on Miss Marvel yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I
an
watched
There's
episode
only
behind.
one more episode and then that's over.
I've only watched the first episode. Thought it was good, but
Mhm.
like you sent me that chart thing, and Miss Marvel's #1. She's like 98%
Yeah,
Rotten
Yeah, that's
Tomatoes.
weird. I don't think
That's what I
that
thought
good.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
but
a little
that's-
high,
it's
but-
critical stuff. We'll talk about that too when we get to the Thor one, and then when we talk about Miss Marvel, because I have some gripes with that chart too. But that's all just Rotten Tomatoes critics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't exactly sure with that's high, but we'll move on. So what about for you, Mike? 2 years waiting.
I get like Corey said. There's so much content that I still have to watch. It won't
So that
bother
doesn't
me.
bother you.
No, I mean, do I want to watch another season right off the bat? Yeah, sure. I want to binge watch 8 more hours
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Stranger Things, but like, it won't bother me if they take their time.
Well,
Even if
that's
it's
the thing, it's taking time and the quality of it.
yeah, even if it takes a little bit longer, like if they push it back like they did with Obi-Wan, that's fine.
Yeah. As long as the product makes up for it.
Yeah,
If
as
the
long as we don't
product
get
is
another
shit,
season
we're
2,
not going to
then-
be happy.
Right.
It definitely is one of those where as long as the quality matches how long I waited, and sometimes things can't live up to the hype anyway, but if it at least somewhat matches or somewhat gets to the same level, it's worth the wait. My biggest issue for a lot of these shows is that if it doesn't, if there's nothing in there, it's just all filler, and then we're bored. And I also feel like that's something with this newer generation, as we're growing up, is that a lot of these shows are getting the more quality rather than quantity because it's us. We're now the people that are consuming this content, and that's what we go for. We want one of two things. We want instant gratification, and if we don't get the instant gratification within like 5 seconds, then we want something that's quality that can take a long time to get there. We don't like the in-between.
I also think it's because we've shifted to a subscription-based service. Because like if you think about it, what were the quality shows back when like cable was dominated? It was on like Showtime, HBO, because people had to pay extra to get them.
Correct.
So they had more funding. So now that we have like Netflix, where people are paying a subscription to Netflix directly, they were able to do things like Stranger Things. Hulu's doing the same thing, making original content. Amazon Prime is doing the Lord of the Rings series and
which
Boys
cost them a lot of money.
But they have that money
so
because
good.
they have dedicated payers paying for just that.
I think the first episode might release early,
subscription.
by the way, just so you guys know, of Lord of the Rings.
No, it releases in November. In September, it's like September 6th, there is another trailer coming out.
No. The series starts in September and ends in October.
Okay, so July. So
July.
there's another trailer coming out.
Is that what it is? Okay, so
Yeah.
Prime Day, Amazon Prime Day is like July 12th and 13th.
Okay,
and
that's what it is. Yeah,
okay, yeah,
July.
there's something about that. I thought they were going to release the first episode early, but maybe it's a trailer.
Maybe
Yeah.
they will.
Maybe.
Have you seen the first trailer?
Yes.
God, it looks so
It
good.
does look really good. Which is just it's funny because they just released a trailer for the Gollum video game. Looks fucking awful. Looks like something from 2006. Like the graphics look bad. The
I did not
gameplay
know
looks
that was a
bad.
thing.
Yep. Of all the characters that you could be in the Lord of the Rings franchise, be Gollum. I don't know. It looks really bad. And I was actually excited. Like, I thought it could be potentially a good game, even though I'm not overly excited to play Gollum, because he's also not a character that fights, so you're going to be doing a lot of stealth.
Just bites people's fingers off. and
Well,
stuff,
yeah,
but,
and then falls into a pit of lava. But
Yeah, I don't know how they would make that a game.
yeah, they're going to try.
Although Shadows of Mordor was phenomenal.
Yes, it was.
And Shadow
And-
of War was really good
Yes,
too.
both of them.
Oh.
I think I liked the first one more, but the second one just had so much. It was so much bigger.
They should do like an open world Lord of the Rings game where like you
kind
could.
of-
Shadow of War.
Yeah, it's kind of open. It's more or less
No,
open.
no, no,
world.
no. I'm saying like an open world MMORPG where
Oh.
like you could have,
Meh.
you know, you'll be on the side of Mordor and I'll be on the side of Gondor, and it's a constant like back and forth struggle for territory and whatnot.
I hate open world.
You
Like,
hate open world?
I don't like MMORPGs in general because I feel like you always have that like one douchebag that's just like
Corey.
jumps on your head all the time.
What?
Like
Oh, that's like overpowered and kills.
no,
you?
like
I think he
on,
means literally jumping on your
yeah,
head.
like if you play like World of Warcraft, that's like
Yeah.
that's MMO, right?
Or when we
Yeah,
played
yeah.
that game that you liked with
DC
the superheroes.
Universe.
Yeah, we always
And you just
had
have people that
were,
are like
trying to
doing
jump on your head.
stupid shit
Yeah.
all the time.
Dude,
Yeah.
DC Universe is great.
That would like ruin like open world is great as long as I don't have to deal with anybody else.
You should try DC Universe. It's
Like
free.
I want to be in open world by myself. That
You-
By
sounds,
myself.
that's a great game.
Mike, I think you would like DC Universe. You
I've played it. I
you
hated
have?
it.
You did?
Yeah, because it's an open world fucking game, and you always have some person that's like a speedster, and they just run around you all the time just to be a fucking douchebag.
Corey.
What is that?
Corey did
How
that
does that
constantly.
hurt you?
It doesn't. It's
It
just
just
fucking
annoys him.
annoying.
Oh,
like I'm
cool.
trying to play the game, and they're just like zoom, 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 zoom.
They're
Like,
making
for
that noise
fucking
too as they're
hours.
doing
But
it.
be honest, if you had super speed, would you not run around us and be like, "Fuck you guys, I'm faster"?
He might.
I
He
don't
might.
know. I don't.
You would.
I don't know if I think super speed would probably be the least one of the powers that I'd want. Like I want like super sit on the couch. Is that a thing? Like
You know,
I
it's funny.
like I don't. My
sit on the
superpower
couch.
shouldn't be me exercising.
How about the ability
Like
to?
teleportation, perfect.
Yeah.
I can go from one couch to another without fucking moving at all. Let's do that. Sign me up for that.
Get to the
power.
cozier cushion,
Yeah.
the one that's a little bit cooler. Get to the fridge. I'm right with
Telekinesis.
ya.
You bring the beer
Beer-
over to you. That's the power I want.
Mike is a fucking genius.
I don't want the power that says, okay, you have to run really fast. I don't want to run really slow.
I'm just trying to imagine the villain that you would face, like the remote snatcher or something. Like, oh no, yeah, I have to get up and touch the TV.
Oh, dude.
I gotta do one of these.
The Boys is the best show because it always gives you like the superpowers that like people are gonna be like, that's fucking stupid. Let's put that on the show. The termite.
The termite, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
Termite was basically Ant-Man or the Atom.
Yeah.
He just used it to crawl up a guy's pee hole.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very gross.
Not just a guy's pee hole, but we'll get into that when we talk about The Boys in a couple weeks. Anyway, all right. Closing thoughts on Stranger Things, although I'm still thinking about Mike's superpower.
I liked it.
It was awesome.
No,
beautifully done.
Season 4 best.
Beautiful.
Season 4 best season yet. It has my favorite scene in any season of Stranger Things, and probably like top 5 of a lot of shows I've seen. So,
Mike, any other closing?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
It's beautifully done. It looked good. The acting was generally good. It had a lot of different, like, I don't want to say areas, but like you have like the Russian storyline, you have the home storyline, and then you have the 11 storyline. There's a lot going on to keep your attention.
And it has a villain that they don't humanize, which I know you like a lot.
I hate the humanizing of villain. And that's why I was a little bit annoyed earlier.
With Mike's idea. Yeah.
Like, if Vecna comes and teaches, or 11 convinces him to help, I was like, oh, God, if they humanize another villain. Because he's such a damn good villain. Like, don't do that. He's been preying on all these kids and has been, like, working out his plan to try to get into Hawkins. It's just fantastic, and to humanize him is just gonna piss me off so much.
You just love people who prey on kids.
You know it. I told you, I've got that van.
Can't get
Look at that whole video about it.
That's his superpower.
I've been
Candy
perfecting
Man.
it.
The Candy Man.
All right, so my closing thoughts. I think it's probably the best thing Netflix has done, season 4 by far, of any other show on there. There's other ones I like, but I think this one blows everything out of the water. And it might be, I don't think it's my favorite show ever, but because of this season, it has like dwarfed other shows because it was so well done. As Mike said, it was beautifully done. It was beautifully done. And even though I think we all made fun of how much money they spent on like per episode, and it was a lot of money, it worked. Like, maybe there was some wasted money here and there, but everything looked beautiful. That scene with Eddie playing the guitar with Metallica, with everything going on behind him before the bats even attack, was something that could have looked so corny and so awful, but because of the money that they put into the special effects and everything else, it actually looked completely legitimate and just helped serve him being that character. And money helps with that stuff.
It was a great scene, too.
Yeah, it was a really great scene. And then even Dustin counting him down and telling them when they have to run, and then them being so excited, and then the bats still getting in the RV. Like, it was just really well done. Everything about it. So I'm definitely excited. We've got 2 years, and then we'll get another, hopefully 8, maybe 9 episodes, depending on how long it's going to be. And then there'll be no more Stranger Things, which will be a sad day. But then we can still rewatch and binge 5 seasons anytime we want, which I don't think I'll do that often, unless I'm introducing it to someone who's never seen it.
Nope.
No, you won't rewatch.
Like I said, I'm the one
not
and
the
done.
rewatch guy. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's too much content out there to rewatch stuff you've already seen.
Yeah, but sometimes the content out there is not good.
True. I mean, it's like same thing as like reading a book twice. I've never done that.
Well, I don't read books.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
So, but the same thing. You haven't read a book
doesn't
twice.
even read them once.
I don't read it once.
That way he never even almost reads them twice.
If I might read the cover and see the title, and
He
go,
doesn't
nah.
even read the book by the cover.
No, I won't even do it.
This pitch is awful. I'm not reading this book.
All right, so next week we are going to be doing Thor: Love and Thunder. Sounds like we're going to have a lively debate on that. We are going to have Casey join us again, who joined us for the anime episode as he came to the theater with us. So we will see you guys next week.